Hello everyone and welcome back to another special audio session here at English Decoded, your peaceful little corner for refining your language skills through natural, heartwarming conversations. Today we are going to dive deep into a very beautiful topic that touches almost everyone at some point in life. We are talking about the nature of quiet dreams and how they eventually come to life, not with a massive explosion or a grand celebration, but in the most silent, unexpected moments. To make this journey wonderful, we have two close friends, Sarah and Maya, sharing their thoughts and experiences today. Maya, can I ask you a question that might make you think a bit too much today? That really depends on what kind of question it is, Sarah. You know how my mind works. It usually starts with something incredibly basic, like asking about your morning routine, and within 2 minutes, we are both questioning our entire purpose on this planet. That is so true. You always manage to turn a simple chat into a deep life review. But go ahead. I think I am emotionally prepared for it today. Have you ever experienced a moment where a long-held desire finally became your reality, but it happened so subtly that you almost missed it? No massive fireworks, no dramatic background music, and absolutely no slow-motion walking through a crowded street. Just a completely ordinary afternoon where you suddenly stopped and realized that you were actually living the very thing you used to pray for. That is a wonderful way to put it, and honestly, yes, it happens way more often than we think. We are conditioned to believe that success always arrives with a loud trumpet and a massive party. But true personal growth usually sneaks up on you when you are wearing your oldest clothes, sitting in a messy room, looking at your tired face in the mirror. Exactly, the external world looks completely identical to how it looked yesterday, but something deep inside your soul has fundamentally shifted. And for everyone listening to English Decoded today, this is exactly the kind of feeling we want to explore. This session is perfectly crafted for intermediate learners who want to grasp natural English flow without getting overwhelmed by overly complex vocabulary, though we will definitely introduce a few incredible words to enrich your expression. Later on, we will also have a beautiful reflective part where you can practice speaking these ideas out loud, using your own voice, because even a single spoken sentence can accelerate your language journey. So, Maya, tell me about that silent realization you had recently. It actually took place just a few weeks ago, right at my small study table late at night. The house was completely silent, my books were scattered everywhere, my cup of tea had turned completely cold, and I was just staring at my computer screen. It was an absolute mess. But as I was about to shut down the system, a sudden memory of my younger self flashed across my mind. I remembered the girl from 5 years ago who was absolutely terrified of opening her mouth in front of others. I do not just mean being a little timid or introverted. I mean a literal physical reaction whenever I had to speak up. My heart would hammer against my ribs. My throat would go completely dry. My mind would become a total blank sheet. And when I finally managed to make a sound, it belonged to a complete stranger. It is that terrifying out-of-body experience where you are watching yourself fail in real time and wondering who on earth is making those shaky noises. Precisely, and for a major part of my youth, my ultimate aspiration was simply to converse without an internal war. I did not care about being a flawless orator or using poetic vocabulary. I just wanted to express my true thoughts freely, without the suffocating weight of anxiety. And there I was, on a random Tuesday night, exhausted and surrounded by cold tea, suddenly realizing that the paralyzing fear was entirely gone. I had just finished a long-spoken project, and during the whole process, I had not felt a single ounce of dread. It had felt completely, wonderfully ordinary. That is the ultimate beauty of a silent victory, because nobody stands up to applaud you. No certificate arrives in the mail to declare your confidence, but you just know it in your heart. I sat there in the dark and thought about how much that exact task would have destroyed my mental peace years ago, and now I was doing it as easily as breathing. That sounds like an incredible internal breakthrough. A tiny door swinging wide open within your consciousness. And the most comforting part is that I did not reach this stage by being an absolute warrior every single day. There were countless moments when I actively avoided speaking, days when I recorded a single phrase, absolutely loathed how I sounded, and deleted the file in utter frustration. Listening to your own recorded voice in the beginning stages of learning is a uniquely brutal form of torture. It truly is, because we are always our own harshest critics, and our voice always sounds 10 times weirder to us than it does to the rest of the world. Yet, despite the embarrassment and the frustration, I somehow kept coming back to it, slowly, clumsily, and without any grand plan. I just kept showing up, not perfectly, but consistently enough to make a microscopic amount of progress. That is the absolute definition of true persistence, even if it did not feel heroic at the moment. From the outside, we think persistence looks like a powerful motivational video, but in reality, it just looks like a tired person choosing to try one more time before going to sleep. No intense inspiration, no perfect alignment of stars. Just a stubborn refusal to completely walk away from a small dream. And every single one of those messy, hidden attempts matters immensely, because that is exactly how the shift happens. You do not wake up one morning transformed into a completely different individual. You just accumulate hundreds of invisible efforts until they finally add up to a quiet success. That offers so much comfort to anyone who feels like they are failing just because they still experience nervousness. Anxiety does not mean you are on the wrong path. It simply means you need to navigate the path with patience and care. What about your story, Sarah? Because you asked that question with the look of someone who has a deep personal narrative hidden in her heart. I definitely do. When I was much younger, I carried this tiny, fragile desire inside me to build something that could offer warmth or comfort to others. I wanted to create a space where a lonely person could listen to my words and realize that their feelings were completely understood and validated. That sounds exactly like your core personality. You have always possessed this incredibly safe, cozy, and welcoming energy. I truly appreciate that, but for the longest time, that aspiration was completely trapped inside my own mind. I had a lot of creative ambition, but my fear of judgment was equally massive, creating a very painful internal conflict. One side of my brain was bursting with vibrant concepts, while the other side was constantly begging me to stay hidden to avoid rejection. The classic inner critic at work, always highly efficient and never taking a single day off. Absolutely, mine was a corporate machine that worked 24 hours a day without a break, constantly telling me to wait until I was more qualified, more articulate, or more stable. So I kept pushing my goals into the distant future, saying I would begin next month or next year, while my dream just sat in a dark corner, growing increasingly neglected. So what was the ultimate catalyst that forced you to break out of that endless cycle of waiting? Honestly, it was not some sudden flash of brilliant inspiration. I just got deeply, profoundly exhausted. I reached a breaking point where the misery of doing absolutely nothing became significantly heavier than the fear of making a massive mistake. That is an incredibly powerful turning point. Choosing the discomfort of action over the stagnation of safety. So I forced myself to sit down and record a tiny audio clip that was barely 40 seconds long, and when I played it back, I absolutely detested every single second of it. My pitch sounded incredibly awkward. My sentences felt overly simplistic, my delivery lacked any real life, and I felt completely humiliated by my own creation. Initial attempts are always deeply humbling experiences that strip away all your illusions of grandeur. But the crucial part is that the following afternoon, I forced myself to sit down and do it all over again. That requires an immense amount of pure determination, even if you did not recognize it as such at the time. It did not feel grand or noble at all. It felt like an incredibly stubborn, angry woman refusing to let a microphone defeat her. But that is exactly what real determination looks like in everyday life. It is just stubbornness directed toward a meaningful purpose. I kept telling myself a single phrase over and over: do not disappear from your own dream. I think I needed to hear that statement far more than anyone else in the world did. That is,